Everyone, welcome in Betsperts Golf for some Travelers Championship discussion. Last signature event of the season, last Pete Dye course of the season. On the back of the 125th U.S. Open at Oakmont, would love to get some thoughts from the one and only Andy Molitor. What's going on, buddy? How we doing?
It was cool. It was a cool tournament. I got what I wanted. Pre-tournament, I said I don't want, one of the top 5, top 6, 8, guys just winning another one. Let's get somebody a new winner. Honestly, surprised it was him. Heartbreaking. I actually, you can't access it anymore because I tried to clean up the expert models, but JJ Spawn 3rd in my Oakmont model. Didn't bet him. Heartbreak on that when I went and looked back at that. Ouch. Because it's a guy I've bet a bunch, and I think I even looked at his top 40 price or so. That would have been funny it'd have been funnier to have like a top 40 price. Like, yes, I cashed him at like 180 plus 180. Good job, Andy.
I've been doing a Wednesday little video for the Twitter account for us, and I've been doing a lot of like first round leader stuff on Wednesday. And I did the same research, but I didn't do the video that way. And JJ Spawn, the top of the first round leader stuff that I didn't bet it. And he was the first round leader. So I was kicking myself on Thursday. I'm like, why wouldn't I take a first round leader stab or first round leader top 20 or top 10 or something like that? Didn't do anything and ends up getting the job done. It was I don't know. I found it to be interesting. There's an interesting amount of discourse around Oakmont, and it wasn't an event that had a lot of memorable moments that were like positive, I guess. The putt obviously is going to be remembered historically.
Yes.
Even that, like, this is not fair at all, but like, he didn't need the putt. He could have 2-putted to win. He also got a fantastically free read from Hovland, which I don't want to discredit a 65-footer, but like, he didn't need it necessarily, right? He could have lagged that bad boy up and tapped it in. And so it just was
that made it so much better, though. I mean,
it did.
I was kind of bummed out when I saw Hovland's ball land there. I'm like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
But not that I wasn't like rooting for him at that point. I didn't have a horse in the race. I didn't want to see him like melt down on the 18th green. That would have been worse. And I said that to somebody. I said, it was better to see someone win the tournament than see someone lose it, because it felt like it was about 80-20 that it was going to be the latter outcome, where somebody just melted, hit a bad shot, because we've been watching people do it for 2.5 hours. All the final groups were doing it every other hole. The mess that Scott and Burns made of 11, basically every other hole for Hatton, JJ Spawn's first 6 holes. People had been doing it all day long. And I was worried, not that I don't like Bobby McIntyre and didn't want him to win. I don't love a guy winning in the clubhouse when somebody else fails. Like, it's one thing if you're the clubhouse leader, but you're also the leader on the leaderboard. Someone has to catch you, and you're watching from the clubhouse. Someone has to catch you, and they have to like make an amazing eagle or a long birdie putt to do it, and they can't do it. And that's life. That's one thing. Watching a guy double bogey a hole and the guy in the clubhouse, and that's awkward for you too.
Yeah.
He did a good job of clapping because he had to, but like, it's so hard to control can you imagine trying to control your emotions if like Spawn just completely misreads it? Let's say the Hovland shot never happens. Spawn misreads it, way too much heat. It's in the fringe on the other side. So then he has to 2-putt for like a playoff at that point.
Yeah.
15, 20 feet away or something. And, God forsake, he like tripped. What would he have had to do to miss the playoff?
This is a historically below average putter, though, right? Like this week.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, right. A double bogey wasn't out of his wheelhouse. Great drive on 17 and 18, obviously. Yeah. Those were the shots of his life, the 17th and 18th drives. Right. But, let's say he double bogeys and there's no playoff. He just wins. Can you imagine, like, Burns? You can't like celebrate. You're on camera. You're like pumped. This is the biggest win maybe of your career ever. It might be the only major you ever win, and you can't really get crazy with it because it's like an asshole move. It's a weird one. It's kind of a weird part of the sport. But yeah, I'm glad somebody went out there and won it. It was obvious once the putts got close that it was like, oh, this is good speed, good line. Like,
yeah,
you got to tap in, and then it dropped. I'm like, oh, it's so much cooler, so much better.
Such a cooler moment. Yeah, it totally deserved. You win the U.S. Open. It's a massive, life-changing event, right? We're talking about a guy who's just won the Valero 6 years ago, right? That's the win he has on his resume, right? So obviously all the things that come with it, entry into, I mean, obviously, $4.5 million, but also, all of the things that it opens up for future retaining your card, all those things that are really important, really, really important for him. That guy coming into the year is like, hey, they've changed how cards are allotted, and like maintaining your card is a huge thing now. And so to kind of get that is very interesting. The Bobby Mack thing would have been fascinating because it was really cool. YouTube TV had the quad box, feature groups all week. So like you could watch just a ton of golf. I don't think Bobby Mack was ever in a feature group, and he probably had like maybe 10 shots on the like network TV all week. And they were all like birdies after the fact, right? Like 5-minute delay. Or
hey, let's check back in on Robbie McIntyre. This happened just a moment ago.
And it was all just like Sunday. Like we saw so little Bobby Mack all week, and we almost had him win the golf tournament. That would have been fascinating to be like, this guy was nowhere near anyone's TV screen. No idea. He was just kind of chugging along, and he would have won. It would have been, kind of wild. That I get how you can only have so many cameras, but he was never part
commercial
of
free group. For the last hour is great, but.
Well, they got their 10-minute commercial in right before.
They got their pound of flesh in the 3 hours preceding that. My God. Yeah. It's like, you're kind of following on the app, or you're streaming something else, and you're like, holy Lord. Like, how are they going to catch up after this break? There's so much to show, because there was not only that, but later in the tournament, when we were getting down to the last few holes, there were so many guys so near the top that it's like you have to show a bunch of shots. You just took a 9.5-minute commercial break. What are you doing? Like it was pretty. That part was terrible, but they did a decent job of catching up. They showed a lot of shots. They had a lot of good mics. I ended up watching the Sky Sports stream for a while. Better announcers. It was good.
Yeah, that was what I found interesting is because, to your point, like there was so much to show. And what I think was unique for Oakmont is that every shot really did have consequence. Like every tee shot really, really mattered. Like you're kind of SOL off the tee if you're in the rough, and that mattered. So having to catch up for all those important tee shots for guys, or regardless of what it was, like, standard PGA Tour event and even a PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, like you don't have to necessarily show me every tee shot. There's a few tee shots that have massive consequence, but at Oakmont, every shot mattered, right? It all mattered, right? So that got a little tricky. So that would have been really fascinating. I also on Saturday night had tweeted out something kind of just how far back is too far back discussion, right? We had kind of a clear 4 heading into that final round. Those final 2 groups had been, they were under par and felt like they had maybe separated a little bit. And I was really surprised by the amount of people that just thought it had to be one of those 4 guys. Yeah, and I couldn't. They just hadn't had their 78 yet, right? They just hadn't had that yet. Like everyone else had it at some point for the most part, or a couple of 74s, or and just I don't know why anyone thought heading into it that the group of 4 was suddenly immune from having a
Scott
70.
Scott and Burns found their 78s.
Right.
I think they went 78, 79. That was
correct. And I agree with you. I don't think they blew it. Right, like I don't think they necessarily blew it. It just that was their day that Oakmont jumped into them a little bit.
Scott had on the front 9, 10 holes. He had like 3 putts that were so crazy close to dropping, and then it just takes a few bad holes. You saw it from Scott. You definitely saw it from Burns. Burns didn't get relief when he should have. That that shot wasn't great. And you like you said, you have your bad round. That's. Yeah, and I'm excited. It's a regular part of the Rota. We're going to come back here in like 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah, we need a little bit of carnage. And I think
that
next year
my final thoughts on that is like there were people that were like, I thought I wanted this and I didn't. Like, oh, now you're mad that like tee shots are penalized that are way off course. Like, that's what the U.S. Open is. There's somebody tweeted out, watching this is like going to the dentist. I know I have to, but I don't like it. You should be allowed to watch golf.
Yeah.
Do you really like golf if you think like it's not every week? This isn't an every week thing. This isn't like this is golf now. We're switching to this. It happens, not even every year. It's not even every year that we have a crazy tough setup. Sometimes U.S. Open is a little easy. It's usually tough, but it's not usually this tough. It's fun to do this once in a while where it's like, oh no, you screwed up your tee shot. That's a full stroke penalty. You're hitting sideways right now. Like that's how we're gonna play today.
I like it. I like it a little bit. I hope we get a little bit of it shitty next year. And it's a little different.
Another good one right in a row.
Yeah. Because there's some other we were talking about a little bit too. There's some, I don't know, we got a little bit of PGA Tour rotation courses coming in the next handful of years too, which is great. I mean, I love Riviera, I love Pebble Beach. And we should, having some West Coast stuff in June is different than having.
Riviera is going to be great. It's just not.
Yeah,
I don't know that it's going to be this tough. It just can't be.
That's the case for those courses. Is that we're seeing them at a different time of year, so the agronomy is a little bit different than we would see it in like January or February. So, case to be made for those, but those are coming up here in a little bit, and they should be. Those are, I think, two of our best courses in the country. I think they're two of the best courses that are on the PGA Tour. They should be showcased differently, but Garrett in the chat too. Pebble shouldn't be a U.S. Open course. I understand that mentality, but it's also Pebble Beach.
It should be a little bit. It should be a PGA Championship course.
It should be. You know what it should be? It should be like in the rotation for like the FedEx Cup playoffs. Right? Like we've fallen in love with maybe
the Walker Cup.
We'll do that. But like East Lake, like why are we so in love with East Lake? Let's mix it up a little bit.
Oh, that's a good call.
Right, let's make that a course that should be rotated, right? So
I had to look that up. I think the Walker Cup is legitimately at Cypress this year.
I think so. Or it's one of the either last year. It's definitely in the mix for sure.
Yeah, it's at Cypress Point this year.
Yeah.
Good. So that was the correct call. A great idea, Andy. Yeah, they're already doing that.
Yeah. They probably looked that out like 25 years ago too. So
I like that too. East Lake has no personality.
No.
East Lake is like face blindness personified as a course. Like I couldn't tell you anything about East Lake. I have to catch up on that every year. Like, oh, it's just East Lake. Here we go. They should do a cool course. Like use the rotation from some of the PGA Tour or the PGA Championship events. Like, I know it's hard to get set up for something like this in short time, and they'd have to maybe start doing this in a year or two. But yeah, why couldn't we do Pebble? Why couldn't we do? I mean, even some of the U.S. Open courses, like it's not like you're bringing in 150 golfers for this. I get that you have big crowds, and that's maybe part of the struggle and the camera crews and all that. But like, hey, let's go to Marion.
Sure. Why not? Come over here. Come on over to
Yes, and they're like, hey, let's do our one event where we go back to the south.
Oh, it's brutal.
In the hottest part of the year. It is gross sweating down there for that. I have no interest in being in that part of the
my best friend is there. He's like a couple guys got together and they went, I say 2 years ago, come on down. I'm like, oh, sounds miserable. Sounds absolutely miserable.
Bring your gold bond.
Yeah. No, thank you. So, yeah, interesting champ. I got swept up in the moment. I definitely thought there was a really small list of guys that could win. That was not the case. Scotty it's kind of terrifying, to be honest. Like he really never had it.
His putting was just 20% off.
And he almost still won.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's that good. When his putting is,
he also didn't find fairways. He didn't hit fairways. I watched every Scotty shot. I read he was always in the feature group. You could always find, every Scotty shot, and it was just never there. And he just still T7 couple lip outs on Sunday. All of a sudden, he is on the board. It gets in at like +1, and the vibes are very different for those last 4 guys coming down the stretch for the last like 4 or 5 holes or so. Right, Scotty's in at 1. What are we doing here? So that brings us to this week. He's your defending champ at TPC River Highlands, and the Travelers came back last year a little bit, fought Tom Kim off, fought off some protesters to knock off young Tom Kim.
So
I don't even know what that was.
I was looking at it. It's hard to explain what this is. Like, we pay for licensed photos here at work, so that if we write an article, we can, that photographer gets credit and they get, they're due. We don't steal photos because it's illegal. So we have a service that has like AP photos in it, and you search an event if you want photos for that for your cover image, like you'd see on betspertsgolf.com. And I was looking up the Travelers from last year, and I was just pulling up images. I wanted like some AP guy, or they always go take a picture like the T marker or like signs. I just wanted some generic ones like that. And it's funny because it's reverse chronological. So it's a bunch of trophy pictures, and then I go to the next page and it's a bunch of guys getting tackled to the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, I'd forgotten about this. Yeah, you see like I think Akshay's in the background just like looking at a guy getting tackled. I'd forgotten all about that. There's a whole page of these pictures on this site. It was funny. I'm like, I'm not gonna use one of these. Like, that'd be weird. But hopefully the crank up the security a little this year. We did have a delay. They had like smoke bombs.
Yeah. I had Tom Kim last year, so that was painful. I got Scottied, and now it's more prominent than ever. Pretty much all books. Used to only have a couple of books that would participate in the without markets, without shuffler, without bid guns, whoever they denote to be the big guns of the week. But thankfully, there's without shuffler markets. That's where I'm swimming this week. Take him off the card for me. And a spot like this is a spot for him to. I mean, any course. I'm just kind of terrified that he can almost backdoor a U.S. Open win with, literally a C- game. So here we are. They tried to spruce it up, Andy. We talked about it last year. We came in last year thinking, okay, they've made some what they called competitive adjustments. They didn't love scoring average the year before. Keegan won at 23 under. Course played 1.6 strokes under par. They tried to add a little distance, tried to add some difficulty to it. It went the other way. Scotty at 22 was the winner, but then we had a scoring average at minus 2.37 strokes. Not great. So there is trouble off the tee. There's a fairly high missed fairway penalty here when you have a par 70 at 6,800 and change, with a lot of birdies out there for these guys. It is really hard to kind of spruce it up to make it be significantly different here. So let me take a look here at the our course stats page here. You can expand this. You can see here par 70
short
change, shorty, very short even. We've had a couple of par 70s as of late, but nowhere near as short as
that's interesting. Ryan, I'm going to interrupt you there. So if you can see this course setup and length, par 70, 68.41, it says very short. Like if you're ever curious about that, when you're using the rabbit hole, like when you select, I want to see all rounds at short courses or very short courses. If you're ever curious on like which bucket it falls into, you can go find it on the course sheet there. We list where we've classified it. So that's why it says very short. It's not just us making a proclamation. That's what category it falls into if you're starting to do any sorting on the rabbit hole there, which, I don't know, kind of interesting to me when you start looking at these, because some of them are, that's in between. That's why when I do stuff like that, like when I'm looking at short courses, I usually will select average, short, very short.
Yeah.
And just say, like, I don't want long courses. I want to just, take those out of the equation for me here. But yeah, this is I don't know what they're going to do to make it tougher, because we talked about this off the air. It's kind of in a neighborhood. There's not a lot of room. You couldn't make this 7,100. It would be
neighborhoods.
There's not room for it. So I don't know if they need to just keep bringing the fairways in make it more and more tough to hit these fairways, or they made a couple greens smaller, I guess, but I think that's the only thing you do. Faster, smaller greens, narrower fairways, higher rough.
Yeah, that's the best defense. They've tried it, and we'll see how that breaks out for sure. Yeah, all this is broken down here for you too. These are smaller greens. You see, less than driver off the tee. We'll get into some of the details there. It is mixed. To Andy's point, like this is another example where you can just basically rule out driver heavy. You can look at less than driver and mixed, because you can go to a bunch of places. You can go to the PGA Tour, PGAtour.com. There's plenty of other sites out there that have free access to rolling strokes gain data. Even some of it you can look at different time frames and stuff like that. And it's not useless, but sometimes it is. And it can be almost detrimental to whatever your research is and what you're trying to do, because like, I don't want Oakmont data in any of things I'm looking for the Travelers. Like, I like to know who's playing well and where the rolling form is, and all these different things matter. But at the same time, it's not really relevant to the test. I don't really need Oakmont and Memorial data for what I'm trying to tell, build a player pool or pick out rights for TBC River Highlands, because the test is so different, right? And it's just, this is why I love having access to the rabbit hole and be able to look at it this way and chop it up, because it really matters. You see high missed fairway penalties. That is kind of the acting defense here. There's a lot of dog legs, trying to grow the rough out and, see if we can make that even thicker here. A ton of rain in the Northeast, pretty much raining every weekend. I think it's rained every weekend in Boston for like 12 straight weekends. They have not had a clean weekend. So it's been, I know we're in Connecticut, but we're getting a lot of rain out there in the Northeast. So that's their shot here is not playing from the fairway. Makes it a little bit tricky. Around the green, also very difficult, but to be honest, fairway, if you're not in the greens here, you're kind of in trouble anyway. So I'm not really giving much credence to around the green play personally, because that person's essentially scrambling for par and is losing birdie opportunities. You see everything else pretty average or easy for the most part. Good week for comp courses. Good week to just go in and look at Pete Jai tracks. Those are mostly what's a lot of listed here as well. Positional shorter golf courses from a corollary course standpoint.
But I mean, some we've just seen too. We just saw Colonial. You can definitely go look back at some leaderboards that aren't too far back. Yep. That's what's tough when you have these correlated courses, and it's like, well, I mean, even this Wiley, it's like, some of the golf data has a shelf life, and it's great to go back and look. But like even last week, it's tough to say like, hey, here's how he played at Oakmont 8 years ago. It's like, yeah, well, everybody was a lot different. It was 3 drivers ago, 4 coaches, 3 caddies, and obviously the balls and clubs are quite different now than they were even 10 years ago. So like, it's, this is less so, but even stuff where you're looking at like a round from the Sony or something, you're going to put a lot more weight into something that just happened. So it's nice that we have a few comp courses that were in the last month or two. Yeah. And honestly, it's just going to be kind of the same as it ever was here. I do think this is a course history course, not because like I've solved River Highlands, but because the guys who have the same kind of skill sets that, win this course, that score on this course, it just feels more repeatable. Guys who are able to club down accurately are just going to score and score and score. If you can accurately hit these fairways and you have a good wedge game and you can putt, or at least sometimes you can find the putter, you're gonna have 25 birdies this week.
Yeah, it matters. You need them. You got to have them. You can see average driving distance below a standard PGA Tour event. You saw last year even lower than the year before from a driver usage standpoint. So less is where we get less than driver from. This is roughly 9% below a standard PGA Tour event. Some guys, and this will be player by player, but painting a broad brush across the board. Some guys will be aggressive, high ball flight. They can try to cut off corners and take out dog legs, over trees and stuff like that. But for the most part, we're looking less than driver. Playing from the fairway is really advantageous, and you see that here through fewer than average 320 plus yard drives. You see the accuracy rate is high because guys are, again, clubbing down to find the fairway. And the good drive percentage, I think this matters a lot this week too. Good drives on courses with high missed fairway penalty, good drives in spots with small greens. Those things matter. You have to keep yourself in play with your first 2 shots, and that's what this stat tells us.
What was going on in 23? Because it's like a 5 to 8% difference, which is like, I don't know,
I think
like
first
one hole they set up weird, and it's like, hey, everyone's gonna hit driver here, and then they change something about it again.
Is that the first year? Because I think this was has this always been a Siggy? That's the question. Because I think this was that might have been that, right? You see guys adjust and come back through.
Yeah.
Right. That could even be some of the fluctuation from 22 to 23 to 24 too. Is like, all right, we come here with this, expectation of how we're going to play it. We realize maybe we can play it a little bit different, and then come back the following year in 24 and go, no, this is kind of the right way to play it.
That's a good call. Bunch of people who just hadn't played it because we're taking time off after the Open.
Yeah.
And now they're like, we have to play because it's a requirement for people of my stature.
Yeah. Increasing greens and reg rates, higher than average. Again, even with high missed fairway penalty, we're still finding a ton of greens. That's what I'm talking about. Like, if we're really worried about around the green play, you're kind of in trouble already, right? You're losing strokes to the field because guys are putting for birdie, and you're just trying to scramble for your par. So only the 2 par 5s, but everyone goes for them for the most part. This is going for the green rate is pretty high. And guys are having success going for them as well. It's a pretty high birdie or better rates there as well. So this is what's fascinating to me. Look at anytime you have this right next to each other.
Par 70s too. A lot of times it feels like on a par 70, it's like, oh, we're going to make the 5s tough enough. 5s are never tough relatively, but like combining the 5s and the 4s, it's all very, very short, all very gettable. DJ on the back of Chez Reavie, right? It's just so different, in terms of skill sets. That is kind of Pete Dye tracks to begin with, right? Like, a lot of guys are playing their second shot from the same ish area. Who's doing it best that week? Mitigating the distance advantage that DJ would have versus a Chez Reavie, but that's kind of speaks to the event itself. It's a spot where anyone can get it done. Sometimes can make it a little bit harder to handicap, but to your point, good wedge play, hot putting, keep the ball in play off the tee. You can see some low scores. So Scotty was your winner last year. You can see Tom Kim, Sanjay, Hoagie, the 62 on Sunday. Akshay fell back to the pack a little bit. Was kind of in control of this tournament for a little while. Cantley consistently playing good golf in the Northeast. Big Tone. JT, plays shorter courses. Par 4 scoring is pretty solid. It's a good JT spot. Cam Young was a little 59 on Saturday. Oh boy. Everybody who bets early took him.
Coming back to the Cam Young. So yeah, not a lot of surprises here. This is another spot people would think would be a Colin track, but I don't know. It's getting kind of interesting on the Colin side here as of late. So yeah, it's very, very interesting handicap.
I brought that up to some we were talking Colin, and it's kind of an ongoing theme from last week. Like, I want to give people credit for playing well last week. Like, hey, you grounded out and you played tough and you did well. Look at you, Victor Hovland. Like, that was a nice performance. But at the same time, some of the guys who struggled, it's hard to go the other way with it. Like, you want to just instantly make excuses for Colin. Like, hey, not exactly the setup for you. And it was a struggle, and I get it. And it's hard to say, like, somebody who did bad or missed the cut is completely out of form now because they,
we toss it all. Yeah.
It's hard to toss, but at the same time, I don't want to toss the good rounds. I want to say, like, you did well. You grounded out, and you ended up at like 3 or 4 over at a very tough US Open venue. So I'm having a struggle with last week's data.
I think that's the right way, right? You want to give credit to the guys that played well, and then I think it's okay to excuse some poor play because it was a unique test.
Yeah.
It's tricky. But you can see we made a caddy change in here. And it's not really been good since the caddy. I'm not blaming, Joey Griner for his, recent struggles here. The putter's been really up and down. Really could not make a putt at all last week, though. Tee to green, you can see he was pretty solid. But no real threats towards the top of the board. After a nice little run here to start the season, obviously. But it's really kind of been, at best as of late. So, again, you're paying freight for a guy who hasn't got it done for 3 years. It doesn't mean he's never going to win again or can't win. He just hasn't. So sometimes it's hard to pay that price. But I feel like the public likes to go to Colin on these spots where driving distance is mitigated. And recent form's not super thrilling. No, again, ball striking here
should be
pretty great.
Yeah, it should be an easier putting test. Everything is. But yeah, putting was horrific last week. His approach game was good, though. I mean, that's what we expect from him. This kind of comes down to one thing. It's probably between Scotty and one other guy this week, because this is a Bud Cauley course.
Oh, you speaking my love language.
I know it. I'm assuming you bet him just because it kind of is a decent fit for the guy, and he's going to be a big number.
I haven't yet. I have room for more. He broke my heart a little bit on Friday, man. He was in the mix.
He was kind of in the mix, man. He wasn't going to win the U.S. Open.
He was not going to win the U.S. Open, but it was mostly T40 bets. That was a great DFS play. See Thursday afternoon. Oh, Bud Cauley, 2 under. First page of the leaderboard. Feeling pretty good. I think he had like a 43 in the back 9 on Friday. Full eject.
There's a few of those. Those things will happen.
Yeah, Shane, Sepp, thought those guys were good chalk as well. You can see here, birdie better rate from the fairway. Above tour average for these guys last year. And again, looking at 5-year course average you can look at, but again, looking at, we've really had a shift in quality of field here. So looking at really what happened last year is, I think, really relevant. That's a pretty significant jump for what you would typically see. Birdie rates a little bit below average when you're playing from the rough. Again, that's trending up as well. Again, strength of field matters quite a bit there. So again, if you're a subscriber, you can go into this and mess around and look at all these different little buckets, get a sense of, are there any birdie streaks to be had for DFS players, depending on, front or back. If you're playing showdown, this is all in here in the tool section, course database, cheat sheets here as well. Another great, easy one-click resource if you just want to look at rolling metrics, which, I think this is a nice little, hey, I'm overwhelmed by the rabbit hole. I'm overwhelmed by, all the different filters and different things that you could look at. Just, hey, who's playing well as of late? What's their recent form look like? And what have they done on this course? You can get this all here in the one sheet. Which I think is great for you.
Have you made some bets? I haven't checked yet.
I have. I made a few bets. Yeah, I made a few bets. I jumped into the without Scotty market exclusively, and it's worked out actually because some of the guys that I got on have been moved quite a bit. And I have some numbers that are like comparable to where they are now, but without Scotty. So you got to feel pretty good about that. So modeling, did you build anything, or did you pull forward last year's?
I pulled forward last year's.
Let's take a look at it.
Which was interesting.
Okay. All right. Well, this looks pretty good. Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantley, Akshay Bhatia, Sanjay M, Justin Thomas are your top 5. That checks out. Little Harry Hall climbing into the top 10. Young Luke Clanton, love to see that. Sammy Burns, Aaron Rye are your top 10. Let's see where we're looking at.
Yeah, what's keeping us from betting Sammy Burns again? Like, what's he done? Honestly, what's he done wrong the last 2 weeks? Like you said, he just hadn't had his big round yet. He put together 3 really nice rounds. 2 weeks ago, he was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Like, he's going to be 45-1 here, right? I might bet Sam Burns. Just close it out. I'm most certainly betting Akshay at where he's going to be 75-ish.
Yeah, 43 and change on Chris is your best Burns number right now too.
So probably betting Burns, certainly betting Akshay. This is just Barracuda East. It is it's stable for it, so it's even more advantageous to make birdies. But it's kind of the same thing. Like, go out there and score. Go out there and play smart golf. Don't get uber aggressive, but be aggressive with the right spots. Take advantage of your opportunities. Make your putts. Score. And he's played well here before, so Akshay's a bet.
It was funny if you pull this into the CSV version and gave Clanton a weight for this, which is what strokes gained total, P-Dye courses last 3 years. So he's not getting any data there, minimum 12 rounds. I mean, he's second in total driving. He's first in greens and reg. He's first in the birdie rate. That's impacting his overall distribution. He's fourth in this in par 4 birdie or better, and he's got no putting because your putting splits are also similar. So putting on a bent POA in 12 rounds. I mean, if you get anything for Luke Clanton, he's sitting at the top of your model here.
And you know what I said? I mean, it goes back to JJ being third in my model last week. I kind of have to bet all these guys now, these longer prices. I don't have an interest in betting Scotty at price. I don't have an interest in betting Cantlay ever.
No,
JT, his form is just kind of a weirdness. He has the win this year, but he's had that stretch. Xander's trending down, and at price, I don't think I can take him either. So Harry Hall's interesting, though. He's a guy I would bet more on a course that maybe distance matters. I know he's looking good here because of total driving and his irons play, but I'd like him if this course were a little longer.
Yeah.
So honestly, my card might just be Akshay, Sungjae, Clanton, Burns. You can see it right there. Nothing at the top.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one of those weeks where it's like, yeah, Scotty makes a ton of sense. It's sub 3-1. That's not happening. I'm with you. And Cantlay, I'm a never Cantlay guy. It's just never.
Like 25-1 for. No. Same thing with Xander. I love Xander, but under 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Sepp this week. I hit Sepp twice this year. Is Sepp winning 3 times this year? I feel like I pushed my luck with Sepp already, so I don't. And this is again another scenario where I'm okay throwing out some poor Oakmont performance on the guy that's been outside of Scotty, probably the best inside 150 yards approach player on tour this season. Keeps the ball in play off the fairway, off the tee, and the putter's been hot enough to get it done. You can see he's popping in the birdie or better rate here as well. So don't mind Sepp for one and done discussions or anything like that. We got Rich with a question in the chat about one and done. Big purse. Obviously, it's our last signature event. We obviously have a couple. We have the Open Championship. We have playoffs. So only a handful of bigger purse events left. Looking at Tommy, Ben Griffin, and Sammy Burns. Have you started to do your one and done research? What are your thoughts on this week?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be similar to the model I made here. It's a big purse, so obviously it's a different game than outright betting. I'm taking Akshay because he's 75-1, and I think he can play well here. I don't think Akshay is a good one and done pick for somebody who's near the top of the leaderboard or maybe even the middle. If you're chasing, I can see taking one of the names I talked to, but it's still look who's left. It's so hard to talk one and done when we get to 10 weeks left, because look who you have left, and you kind of got to make some decisions. Who are you using as your playoff players? Because you need 2 decent names there. You need a pretty big name for the Open, and maybe that's a live player. So honestly, if you have more than 3 or 4 big PGA names left, you might be doing yourself a disservice, because there's not that many more events they're going to play at. Like, they're not playing in Detroit. They're not playing in Minneapolis. They're not playing in Davenport, Iowa, where, you got to start mapping backwards, I think. Say, here's my 2 for the playoffs. Here's who I'm using for the Open. What does that leave me? And you probably just got to use that big name if you believe in him. Or, it's a possibility that you could use that bigger name in Scotland as well. Not a big purse, but it's still, they're going to play there, and you get to use that person at least, rather than letting someone sit on the shelf. Maybe that's not optimal. Maybe there is a guy where it's fine letting him sit on the shelf, and you have some guys you think are better spots or better fits here and there. but I tend to try to use, if you have guys that are in the top 15, top 20 golfers in the world, you kind of just work your way backwards and burn them here.
Yeah.
Because you have the Wyndham is always a weird event. You can get some guys in there that show up, but for the most part, that's very mid-tier. Obviously, 3M Detroit, John Deere, low tier. I think Spanos plays the 3M though. I wonder if he's going to
Wyndham too.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if he's gonna big time. He doesn't need the points now. He's in the damn playoffs.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. That's fun too. Like you can use a major champion at the 3M Open possibly. I've done it. Patrick Reed played there one year. He had to pull out when they I can't remember who it was. He had to go to Japan, remember? Somebody couldn't make it to Japan. Couldn't get through quarantine or something, wasn't it?
Oh, geez.
Or were they sick or injured? Patrick Reed had to withdraw from the 3M Open, fly to Texas, go through quarantine stuff, fly to the coast, and then go to Japan so he could play on the U.S. Olympic team in 2020. Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but it's weird. You do get big names at some of those places.
Yeah, some guys just do their local.
JT played the 3M when he was chasing. You get one of those where it's I want to.
JT played the Wyndham that year too. Yeah. Spieth played the Wyndham last year because he was chasing a little bit. You'll get some names for sure. Hey, obviously, if looking at this the first time, you can go into this in the rabbit hole. You can go to the View Expert Ranking section, and you'll look at a multitude of different models. Again, if the modeling process is intimidating to you, we try to make it easy by showing some stuff here on the show. But again, you can wisdom of the crowd, go through, find someone that you trust, find someone that you value. It's maybe give some money or pick some winners for you, and get a sense of what to do here. I'll show you my model. It's not going to vary drastically different from you, but this is JT fares pretty well here. Sepp is third in the model. Just interesting. Don't know what to do with that. Cantley fourth. Russ is the only one you missed in the model. I don't know how you built the model for TPC River Highlands. It doesn't have Russ Henley in the top 10. Fleetwood, Lowry, your U.S. Open champ, JJ Spawn, Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa. So I also have some good Luke Clant numbers. I also have something that doesn't populate. A couple things that didn't populate here for him. These are comp courses and maybe Pete Dye tracks or something like that, where it's just a little nugget that didn't help him out. So,
what thoughts on Rory? We haven't got to him yet. Is he just checked out? Because he seems kind of checked out.
So it's really weird.
The whole thing is so weird. It's two theories for me. Okay. It's either 10 years of trying to. It's like if Sisyphus got to the top, man. Like, what are you going to do now? 10 years of trying to get that fourth major. It's been 10. Well, I mean, longer than that, but 10 years since he had a major.
Yeah.
And I mean, he finally gets one. It's the correct one. He gets the slam. He's already won multiple times this year. It's not like he was in bad form. It feels like he just all the wind is out of his sails, and he's having trouble getting himself pumped up. And I think more people will probably agree that this is what's happening. He hasn't slept since the guilt of the illegal driver has kept him up. It's like The Machinist, if you've ever seen that movie, where he's just racked by insomnia. He can't live with the guilt, and he knows that it's an illegitimate major that he's holding now because of the illegal driver, and that's just ruined his game. I live in Davenport, Iowa. Quad Cities rep.
Let's go.
Can you name all four? It's a trick question because there's 5.
No. Davenport.
You can't name more than Moline?
I should know these. I should know more of them.
East Moline. You got Moline and East Moline.
Okay.
Bettendorf. I used to have an uncle who lived in Bettendorf. And then Rock Island.
Rock Island.
Rock Island. There we go.
Yep.
The Quad Cities, all 5 of them.
Yes.
It's Iowa math and a little bit of Illinois.
Augustana College right there. And,
Augustana?
Yep.
Really? No, that's in Sioux Falls.
No.
Augustana University, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Well, keep looking. There's another one.
Mary Hart went there. No, Josh is going to buy me a beer if I end up down there, or at least tell me where to go.
Just tell you where to buy a beer.
It's been a long time. I don't get that far. I'll go to Waterloo. They have a nice casino, but Davenport's a little further. All right, your Rory thoughts though. Is it just he's checked out? Because he seemed checked out.
It's so weird. He even for you, he had flipped you a little bit.
Now he's being a dick to the media too. Like on top of it all, he's being insufferable.
He easily could have thrown in the towel and missed the cut, and he grinded out a really nice made cut.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, here we are, right? Maybe, right? But like, and then it's just real short with the media. One word answers, really, it's just like garbage stuff. And then not a great Saturday, and then really kind of battles a little bit on Sunday again. Backdoor top 20, and then we just get more garbage answers. I don't understand it. I do appreciate the authenticity again, which has kind of always been the hallmark of Rory for people that don't hate him. It's because he will somewhat tell you how he's feeling. He's not a boring interview. He's going to share a little bit more transparency than most PGA Tour pros. And it's just really bizarre. Like I understand being frustrated with media or the reporting of the driver situation or whatnot. You can move on. And it's really weird. Like, yeah, I get that you climbed Everest and you won, but like you're still in your prime. Like I know you're not going to chase down Tigers, any Tiger records or anything like that, but like stack them up. You just go compete. Like whatever. I don't understand why. It's so like puzzling to me why there's this lack of motivation to keep kind of going and keep getting it done. And I don't know, Tiger won the Grand Slam and then went out and won the Grand Slam again. Like you're still in the prime of your career. You're top 3 golfer in the world.
He has like 10 good years left.
Yeah. So maybe just needs an offseason. He needs to get to it. Maybe he's got to get to the Ryder Cup, right? He's for years has talked about pre-Masters win. This point in my career, everything else is just leading to hopefully a Masters championship and more Ryder Cups. Those are what I care about. So hopefully he just needs to get to New York in September, and that can light a fire for him for 2026 because this is bizarre.
Yeah. And it's funny. I bet him this week.
Well, I know people bet him, and I was praying that was the only thing I wanted to not happen from Golf Digest aggregating my.
No. I bet him this week. I placed bets on Rory McIlroy yesterday
to win the Travelers,
to win the Ryder Cup.
Oh, okay.
Technically, he's the only member who's locked in right now. He is officially. He's got so many points that he is officially official. Like he would ever not be on the Ryder Cup team, obviously. Yeah. But I have some more I've added to my Ryder Cup position at plus 140.
All right, I want to get to that. I want to pull it up and talk about it real quick, just to wrap up what we have here. I bet all Scotty without Scheffler market. Russell Henley at 35-1, 1,000,000%. A bet that I have to make. I'm also continuing on the Cam Young train. I did it at Canada. T4. He had a little chance there at the end. I wasn't on him last week, but he T4'd again last week of the U.S. Open. Putter's been really good. Playing better golf. Like this fit for him again. He had a 59 here last year. Probably has some good juju in on him. I went with a couple of hot putters because I think that can, not necessarily hot putters, but just better baseline putters because I think that can matter quite a bit here. Matt McNeely without Scotty. Denny McCarthy without Scotty.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Just whatever. You get white hot with the putter, and that's how you can kind of separate here. And then Tom Hoagie is playing better golf, played well here last year. going to strike the hell out of it, find himself with a lot of birdie looks. Hopefully he can make some. So those are 5 guys. I'm still at plenty of room because they're way down the board. I mean, Denny and Hoagie in particular are big numbers. So flirting with the idea of something else at the top, maybe some room, the Bud Collie at the bottom. But yeah, those are kind of my current spots there for this week. Let's take a look of, as you mentioned, the Ryder Cup. Scotty Scheffler is in on the U.S. side. JJ Spawn bumps up 10 spots from 13 back end discussion to almost locked in.
He's not locked in, but he's another one too. Like if you're correct and he just plays the 3M and he plays the Wyndham and he gathers up a bunch of extra points. Because those are, he's just going to get enough points and probably stay in the top 6.
Yeah, because look at the separation from where he is, and Bryson only really has one more shot to get points, right? Bryson can trickle down slowly. We're calling in JT. It's a pretty sizable gap. Those points, was it 1.5x points there for before you get into major. So those are your current top 6, which would be locks. Then this gets really interesting. And some guys that are on like the back end kind of had some interesting weeks. In terms of the U.S. team, like, a Sam Burns, who's been on these teams before, showed a pulse, obviously, a couple weeks in a row. He gets really interesting, even though he's further down here, 14th. I think there's no scenario where Patrick Cantley's not on this team. Be stunned, even though this is kind of interesting to see Patrick Cantley below.
Wearing a hat in that picture.
Wearing a hat. Found a hat that fits his head. But with this other interesting group, I mean, Ben Griffin is playing really, really well. Now, again, we're 2.5, 3 months out. 3 months out from Bethpage, right? So is he peaking too soon? These things can happen. Because you can have a guy that has a resume that shows a little bit of a pulse here over the next couple of months, and they're in over Griffin, McNeely, Novaks of the world. We saw 1.5 good rounds from Brooks Koepka. Is that enough for you? Is Brooks back in the mix?
Ooh, I don't know.
Right?
I mean, I think he has a good Open or he doesn't, and that's it. I think it's very binary. If he plays well at the Open, if it's he's 15th at the Open, sure. I think
he's going to be competitive at the Open and maybe win 1 or 2 live events, or like be real close in some live events.
Do you think he can even look at it live?
I think he is a little bit.
You have. I mean, I'm joking. You have to.
I know what you're saying though. Like, but I think he's.
It can't. I think you're right. It can't just be. Oh, he came out and had a good Open, but he's been garbage on the garbage tour. He has to be competitive in a bunch of live events as well.
Yeah, I don't think that applies to like Patrick Reed. Like Reed's not on this team, right? Like
Reed has to.
Want to make a case for Reed?
Reed has to win the Open,
and
probably, I mean, that's a lot of points.
It'd be a lot of points. Keegan would have to have a group meeting with,
he's not top group, very right? Liked.
He's not liked.
He's like that guy. He's like AJ Persinski. You hate that guy when he's not on your team, but when he's on your team, it's great because everybody hates him and he's in your head. He's a good team golf player as well. Like,
I wouldn't hate him on the team. I mean, I'm not on the team.
He needs to do quite a bit to move up into that spot.
I agree. Because these are,
and again, none of this matters. We lose, 18-12.
I don't disagree. Still plus money there out there, but interested to see what happens here with the back end. Cam Young ascending a little bit.
He could, and this is his week to get some points.
Big Tone
Keegan tapping himself.
Yeah, I feel like there's enough now where we've started to see some, like, again, the Burns, Young, Brooks-ish, right? Like Spawn wins, Ben Griffin. There's enough that's making it really hard for Keegan to pick himself. I think he is one of the best 12, without a doubt. But if there's enough nuance I think it's going to be hard for him to.
It'll be funny if he's cold at the end of the season. He finishes like 25th, and then he still picks himself. Then we're losing 20-10. Then the team is lost at that point. You can't have any faith in captain.
Yeah, I would love to see that. So, same thing. I mean, so Spieth, backing your points, I'd be stunned if Spieth is not on that team. Same thing with currently Patrick Cantley. Spieth has not been playing that poorly, to be honest. I mean, he's missed some time with the wrist, so some missing a few points here. Would love to have seen a young guy where the U.S. team had. Well, like what Europe had a couple years ago, where they could throw one of the Højgaards on. You knew that Ludwig was inevitable. Let's just put him on now. He had like really stepped up into that, and I don't know if that's Luke Clanton. I don't really even see a scenario where that could happen at this point. Like he'd have to win, I think, maybe multiple events to really get himself in the spot. Like a Davis Thompson, Thor Bjornsson, one of these young guys that we thought maybe had a chance to really step up and ascend. We lost Zalatoris, was starting to play some good golf. Just it gets really, really tricky. On the Euro side, it's also pretty interesting. I don't think there's a ton of Euro spots up for grabs.
No, it feels like 10 are locked.
Rory, Hatton, Shane, Bobby Mack, Sepp, and Rasmus, who's falling down on the points and is going to get past. He's going to fall off the top 6 list.
He's still on the team.
You think so? So I think he's one of the.
I think both. I think you put both. That's a fun team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but I think it's far from
Fleetwood, right Ludwig, Hovland, locks.
Yep.
Dietrich, probably a lock. I don't know if Matt Wallace. Dietrich?
Yeah, I don't think Dietrich's a lock at all. He won. He won Phoenix. He hasn't done anything.
I know, but I think he's still very good.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad, but I don't know. I don't think he's a lock. I mean, Rahm's up here, right? Rahm's below.
Rahm's a lock. Yep.
Right. So I don't think you get too many.
So I'm saying you're like 10 or 11 guys already.
Here are your Højgaard, Nikolai and Fitz, right? Fitz.
Yeah, I've got my whole 12 then. I'm sorry, everyone else is out.
I think you got 13. Both Højgaards and Dietrich.
I didn't keep.
So
Rose.
Are you leaving Rose off the team?
I left Rose home. He's going to be
they're not leaving Justin Rose home.
Co-captain.
No, they're going to make him a captain next.
Fine. God, it might be. It's probably one of the Højgaards then.
There's no shot in hell they're taking Thomas Dietrich and leaving Justin Rose home.
Yeah. God damn it. It's tough. It's wealth of riches. Wealth of riches for Luke Donald. Plus 140, guys. Crazy price. All right, I got a jet. I got a meeting here. We will we'll see you guys on the other side of this. Good luck with your travelers. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments on Twitter, in the Discord. The MGM deal is still going. You can get a full year for just $10. Find that information right on the website, betspertsgolf.com. I'm Andy. He's Ryan. I'll see you later.